Welcome. I'm Romaine Bostick.
And I'm Caroline Hyde. This is the EBONY Power 100, a Bloomberg special.
For more than 75 years, EBONY has offered the authoritative perspective on the multidimensional African-American community. John H. Johnson founded EBONY in 1945 with the goal of producing a journal to chronicle African-American lives.
The magazine was pioneering. 1945 was 2 years before blacks were allowed to play Major League Baseball, 9 years before the Supreme Court outlawed segregation, and 10 years before Martin Luther King Jr. emerged onto the civil rights scene.
And while celebrity has always been a focus at EBONY, the magazine has also tackled civil rights, education, and stories important to the black community that the mainstream often ignored.
Over the years, the EBONY Power 100 has honored the remarkable achievements of African Americans across industries and highlights outstanding leaders across a variety of fields and disciplines, from business to sports to media to activism.
Bloomberg is proud to partner with EBONY on presenting this year's list, and in this special, we're going to talk to some of the notable personalities that we spoke to at the two-day event held in Los Angeles earlier this year. Formed
in early 2019 by Unilever's Dove, the National Urban League, Color of Change, and the Center for Western Law and Poverty, the Crown Coalition's goal is to create a respectful and open world for natural hair.
Yeah, and Crown has successfully advocated for several new state laws that provide protection for race-based hair discrimination. Now, EBONY recognized the group in the social justice category of this year's Power 100, and Unilever Executive Vice President Essie Eggleston-Bracey joined us to discuss the group's goals.
You can't really champion for beauty inclusivity when we live in a world where today kids are turned away from school because of the way they wear their hair naturally, braids, locks, bantu knots. And many of us are denied employment because of the way that we wear our hair. And that's shocking today in 2021. So back in 2018, that was also the case, and there were many, many stories publicized. We thought, we can change this. And so bringing together a group of legislative officials, we talked about the opportunity that this happened. It's surprising that so many people didn't know that this would happen. And that's when we formed the Crown Coalition. Crown stands for creating a respectful, open world for natural hair.
Is this about just changing the law, or is this also about changing perceptions?
It's all of the above. Like, first things, legislation changes lives. You think about the race discrimination issue, segregation, addressing that issue started first with legislating it. And then concurrent with that, you have to change the culture, because who we are, our hair, our beauty matters. When you deny us our natural hair, you deny who we are and turn us down in the world. So as we champion the Crown Act through the Crown Coalition, you know, Dove and the whole coalition are educating that our hair is us, and who we are is critical to express in this world.
Can you talk a little bit about media portrayal, media representation? You mentioned Dove. They've done a lot of work with regards to their advertisements, trying to show a wide variety of faces, of bodies, of hair. How important is that in order to move us along?
Having inclusive, dynamic representation of images of all of us and black hair is absolutely critical, right? Because we need to normalize natural hairstyles. A lot of these policies that forbid natural hair in schools and companies come because they think black hair is untidy, unkept, unprofessional. That all comes from images that come from media. So when we normalize, and you show myself as an executive business leader, as you show models in the world as beautiful, if you show society with us in textured hair in the range of roles that we're in, it normalizes it. And so therefore you change the culture, and it's no longer untidy to have bantu knots, locks, twists, and other natural hair styles.
It must have been an extraordinary emotional roller coaster to have sort of celebrated this landmark act in 2019, and then to have seen the ramifications of what happened in 2020, the social justice movement that was born out of the horror of George Floyd. Do you feel now that companies are far more willing not just to talk the talk, sign legislation, sign on to acts, but to walk the walk as well?
Yeah, I think the reality is we know that race discrimination exists in the world. And the horrific act with George Floyd demystified talking about racism. You know, it was a quiet word. We talked about hair discrimination. Really, hair discrimination is just a type of racism. So what happened to George Floyd opened the door for broader people accepting and recognizing that racism still exists today, and that race-based hair discrimination is one of them. So at the time, we had 5 states that had passed legislation. We're now up to 14. So I feel in many ways George Floyd sacrificed his life so that we can continue the racial equity journey, including the racial equity journey with our hair.
In the category of community builders, Ebony recognized Alice Marie Johnson, a criminal justice reform advocate and former federal prisoner. Johnson was convicted in 1996 for her involvement in the Memphis cocaine trafficking organization and was sentenced to life imprisonment.
But in June 2018, after serving 21 years in prison, she was released. This is after President Donald Trump commuted her sentence, and then in August 2020, Trump granted Johnson a full pardon. Here is our conversation with Alice Marie Johnson.
Being incarcerated, I never surrendered my character. I never surrendered my faith. I started serving others. I became a playwright. I mentored women. I helped them to prepare for their life outside of prison, even though I was told that I was going to die in prison, that I was never coming home. And so over the course of those years, serving others, it somehow made me not concentrate on my own situation. And I think that was one of the keys, and really my faith has helped carry me through this.
And now, with your freedom, you're still trying to serve people, particularly those that are inside. How do you think that justice reform can occur to ensure that your story is never repeated?
My story, I found that through magnifying and giving a voice to the voiceless, and that's what I do now. My organization, Taking Action for Good, I literally founded that during the pandemic. Because we're on lockdown, I'm submitting clemency petitions, but how can these people find me? Because I'm no longer in the community. We're on lockdown. So people started logging in when they heard that I had an organization. And through that, I was able to help identify even more people. And so I realized that they were able to receive a second chance. One very special one was James Bryant Cruz. His lawyers found me through my organization. No one even knew of him. He was serving a very long sentence, and he's a free man today. So it just made me want to do even more. So now I do storytelling. Just like my story caught the attention of the world, their stories now will be catching the attention of the world as I tell their stories and bring attention to the problem that we have in our justice system.
How can we ensure that there is a support system out there and a life that is made better through occupation, through an ability to come back into the community? What needs to be done there?
Well, you know, it really starts, we really have to start putting the stories of the people out there so that people can see themselves. I think that many people through my story saw themselves with my family, saw themselves through someone who made a mistake. I never said that I didn't do anything wrong, but what was done to me was also wrong. To give me a life sentence as a first-time nonviolent offender was absolutely wrong. Yes, there is some progress, but we have to be careful to not get comfortable in our progress, because we can think we've done enough and stop. Now, through the First Step Act, it helped many people, but it's not enough. There must be a second step. We must continue on with this. We're not asking for you to, for people to just say, open the doors and let everyone out. That's not what we're saying. Right now in America, we have over 4,000 people who were let out of prison due to the CARES Act during COVID-19. Those people were vetted to be no safety risk. Most of them, almost all of them, have jobs. They're giving back to their communities. Now they've reunited with their families. Now there's a possibility, a strong possibility, that they're going to be sent back to prison. These people are perfect candidates for clemency. They're perfect because you don't have a theory that they might do well. they've proven that they will do well.
Your case came to light, obviously, during the previous presidential administration.
Yes.
Based on the current administration we have now, as well as the folks in Congress, how receptive have they been to your message?
Well, I know that there have been many who know that criminal justice reform is very important. For me, this is not about politics. This is about people. I'm willing to work with anyone. I've worked in states, red, blue, purple. I work in yellow states and brown states and green states, because for me, this is all about people. So I'm hoping that they will get my message of how important this work is. I've been on both sides. I've been incarcerated for over 2 decades, and then I've been free for a little bit over 3 years fighting. I've been up inside that process. I know what is broken. I've been there, and so I've experienced both sides of it. So I'm hoping that I will, have an opportunity, because I'm willing to. I want to.
Coming up, we sit down with musicians and entertainers, Questlove and Big Frida. But as we go to break, let's take our first look at this year's 2021 Ebony Power 100 list recipients.
Welcome back. Now, as a co-founder of the hip-hop group The Roots, Amir Khalid Thompson, best known, of course, as Questlove, has made an impact on the world of entertainment as a musician, as a writer, as a performer, as a producer, as a director, among his other various roles, of course.
Yeah, a lot of roles there. And we sat down with Questlove to talk about his career, his multi-talented career, his latest projects, and, of course, how he kept creative during the COVID pandemic.
I'd consider myself a creative, be it working on records or working on Broadway or writing a book or working in the food space or doing activism work or now directing movies. And so, when the pandemic started in March 20, I thought like the world was going to end, and boy, that was a nice run, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I actually wound up becoming more busier, more creative when the world stopped than I was in my regular life. And so, this really taught me, last year taught me to really pursue every passion that I had. Not saying that I wasn't pursuing my passions before, but I think the way that I'm built, I'm such a bleeding heart that I worked on other people's dreams, other people's records, other people's. So I never, the pandemic offered me an opportunity to actually ask myself, like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what's in your heart? What do you want to do? Like, I don't want to just do something just because the check is nice or because I feel bad, so I'll help my friend and do their record and that sort of thing. So I just basically spent the entire 2020 bucket listing things I wanted to do. So,
And that includes writing about the history of music? Well, that's a small project.
Usually when my editor calls me, usually it's to complain that I'm giving away. I use my Instagram as like my pulpit, and so when I go overboard with those 9-paragraph history lessons, usually that's when my editor's on the phone, my manager, like, make him stop. Like, he could be doing this for the book, and so. All right, we'll do a book. And then, so I'll just say that being in the pandemic, figuring out how to finish Summer Soul, and then also trying to figure out what the new normal is with DJing. D-Nice started first, and then I started like 7 days later, and this is now the new normal. Like, I'm DJing for a bunch of chickens, and, I was on a farm, and the only response I hear is animals. So.
But the response to that, I mean, you're talking about the Instagram lives, and the response to that by the people, though, was enormous. People needed that.
It was, I mean, it's a new paradigm shift. That's what 2020 was. Like, we had to pivot and figure out what our pivot was. And, you know, for the first 7 months, I was panicking. You know, I had a staff to pay. I'm not going to be on stage no more. I need more hand sanitizer, like all those things that everyone was crying over. But around, you know, April, I'll say that my girlfriend sort of shook some sense into me and told me, like, you're creative and you wrote a book about this. Now's the time for you to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? And so that's what I did.
Paint the future picture of music for you now, because we're now seeing, you know, I'm listening to your music by streaming it. We're having different ways of paying Patreon, and people now looking at NFTs. What is the future for your industry, do you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, people often come to me and say, like, oh man, I don't get that same feeling that I used to get with music. And, you know, it seems that, you know, most artists that are winning sort of follow the same formula. It's very numbing. But really, there's more music being made now more than ever. It's just like, you got to have the patience to sift through it. I'm one of those guys that has the patience, at least for now, to sift through, see what I like. And, you know, what I would like to people to get into is often the fact that we tend to, especially in social media, like, we tend to cheat on the test paper and see what they're into. Hey, what are they listening to? And I want people to get more into, what do you want to listen to? Not like what nuances your hip. Like, okay, well, they're doing this on TikTok, so I got to get into that so I can seem cool too. And I want people to discover, like, there's a whole new world of people. Like, right now, people ask about, there's a group very much in the vein of what the Roots were, called Salt, that is just mind-blowing. And the world they made 5 albums. To me, they made the definitive soundtrack for Black Lives Matter.
I just love it. It feels like we're at a moment where social media is almost, it's a stirrer of FOMO, which is kind of what you were talking at the beginning, but it's also democratization, to be able to see what other people are making and get your hands on and sift through it. Inherently, do you think we're at a positive moment for music?
You know, I mean, there was a moment where I truly saw, a shift in how we use social media last year, especially in the space of mental health. And for me, that was important to see, like, Common doing yoga. Like, now you're seeing people meditating. You see people being really transparent, very honest about their pain. So, you know, oftentimes, I mean, we've seen the lows of social media where it's a constant game of telephone, and then what starts at the beginning isn't what is at the end. But then there's the other side of it too, where we've used social media for activism, we've used social media for mental health and all those things. So I see both the good and the bad to it.
New Orleans performer and fashion icon Big Frida is known for popularizing the hip-hop genre bounce music. And that is where our conversation began.
It was underground for such a long time. We did have DJ Jimmy and some of the pioneers, you know, hit the chart before. But I continued to grind and continue to want to, you know, show the culture of bounce music and New Orleans. So I just kept on working and showing it all around the world, you know, other countries as well, and it's finally starting to pay off.
In a time when, of course, many people couldn't get out there, couldn't perform, but we then relied on the world of streaming, the world of social media, the world of television. How do you feel that message has really begun to continue to escalate and further?
You know, a lot of people had to use the phones as their outlet. That's what saved us, you know, being able to get on all the different social media platforms, to get, you know, into something, to see what's going out in the world. That's how we were communicating a lot of the times. And for me, I went to cooking to make people feel able to get in that kitchen and do something different and something fun, you know, and cooking takes my mind to a better place and, like, keeps me from stressing. So I wanted to do that and share that with my fans, and it really became big and popular.
in addition to your music, you've done a lot of work with mental health and just, I guess, advocating for, I guess, a more tolerant society where people accept people for who they are.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
You know, I have a journey that I'm on, and I want to continue to try to make the world love each other even more. And it's not about, you know, race, it's not about color, it's about all of us share the same blood and we all are human beings and we need to love each other and respect each other.
Do you feel that that's progressing at the moment?
Right now, it's just so much controversy with different sides of different communities, and it feels like we are, you know, rewinding ourselves and we're going back instead of going forward. And these conversations are important to keep on having and to get things back to a place of understanding where, you know, we live in America. We're supposed to be able to have freedom of speech, you know, on a lot of different conversations and topics. So we have to not be so sensitive about certain conversations and certain things that will be said without feeling offended. And we have to open up and be, you know, open our minds to do better. Somebody has to be the bigger person in every situation.
You, of course, have embraced the world of social media to spread your message, but in sometimes that can be where the hurtful things arise and you end up, how do you ensure that you can rise above that? How do you ensure that you feed your positive mental health?
You know, I'm very into what I'm talking about and try to like identify what the situation is. I also be mindful of how to approach every situation, how to talk about it, because as you can see, you could say the wrong thing and things can go a whole nother way. So I'm just, you know, I'm studying, doing my homework, doing my research, trying to stay on, you know, up to date of what's happening in the world and still trying to work and take care of a family and still trying to, you know, entertain the fans is a lot, you know, and I just do what I can. I pray and I push.
Where next for you?
Next for me, you know, steady making great music, putting that big diva energy out into the world. You know, hopefully coming back on TV soon. Getting ready to open a hotel in New Orleans. So a lot of great things happening. My hotel/restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called Hotel Frida.
All right, before we let you go, you have to tell us who did your outfit today?
It's a designer out of New Orleans. Her name is Corbell. Dog kill with the shoes and the purse. And I'm rocking everybody in New Orleans, you know, gotta have a little bling on the nails.
All right, well, we wouldn't have expected anything less from you. Big Frida, really a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And as we go to break, let's see who else was honored as recipients on this year's EBONY Power 100. All right, young African-American leaders are stepping into the forefront now in the worlds of finance and politics in new and imaginative ways. During this block, we'll speak with three who have gained recognition on the EBONY Power 100 list.
First, we have Amias Tadesi and Chuck Kamara. Now, they're the co-founders of Black Gen Capital. It's the first minority-owned investment fund at Cornell University. Now, growing with a chapter at Georgetown University, we began our conversation with how, well, Black Gen Capital originated.
I originally came into Cornell as a pre-med student, and so I had no prior experience with finance. My parents didn't work in that industry. I had no idea what I was doing. And so when I came to Cornell, I decided to switch after taking some economics classes. But one thing I noticed was that the lack of diversity and inclusion in many of the finance organizations at Cornell was something that shocked me. And so we decided to change that and create a space where students can come, get that financial education, connect with corporate sponsors such as Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and really benefit from those experiences that they lacked before.
We'll talk about those partnerships. How receptive were some of those companies to the idea you came up with?
They jumped on it immediately. These companies are looking for ways to tap into diverse talent, and we could provide that to them. Like, we had so many talented students at Cornell who came into our cohorts and were able to kind of recruit for these jobs and land these internships at these prestigious firms.
I mean, for full disclosure, Bloomberg's one of them, and I'm interested in, where next? You're already looking at building this movement, this investment philosophy throughout, Georgetown you got involved as well? How does this grow?
Yeah, well, we know that the issue doesn't exist only at Cornell and that it's prevalent at many other universities. And so one of our goals is to expand to as many universities as possible to sort of increase our impact. And so as you mentioned, we are at Georgetown now. We're working to work at NYU and then as well as UVA, and then from there on, who knows where we're at next.
Talk a little bit about the investment philosophy of BlackGen.
Yeah, so we focus on mid-cap growth stocks. So these are companies that we feel that we would be able to research and get a really good edge on them because a lot of Wall Street analysts don't cover these specific stocks.
So they're public companies?
Yeah, public companies that we focus on. Our students, after a 10-week education series, they culminate all of the knowledge that they learned into a stock pitch, which they present in front of our entire general body, as well as corporate sponsors. We invite analysts from various firms on Wall Street come and sit in on these stock pitches and judge them. So it's overall just a great experience to get students hands-on experience and really apply the knowledge that they're learning.
Are there certain sectors that you focus on besides just mid-cap?
Certainly. So our students are working in 4 different sectors. That includes healthcare, energy, technology, and consumer. And we place them into these groups based off of their interests, academic background. So, for example, computer science students, of course, tech, pre-med students, healthcare, and they really get a deep dive in those industries and flex their experiences and interests.
You're seniors.
Yeah.
What, do you take BlackGen Capital on? Does it become a longer term fund? Or do you go to Wall Street? What are your ambitions?
So we live by the mission of paying it forward. So eventually we hope to pass down BlackGen Capital, the entire leadership, and keep it going for the next 100 years. At Cornell, at Georgetown, eventually at NYU, and many other schools across the country. We feel that the mission is much bigger than ourselves, and we think that as long as we continue this model of paying it forward, we can expand this impact exponentially.
And the other kids at school here, I mean, how do they view you two specifically? I mean, because this is pretty impressive. I mean, I don't know what you were like when you were a junior in college, but we weren't as ambitious as you two.
Yeah, being in a leadership role in an organization like this, students look up to you, of course. And so that gives us an opportunity to inspire and really pay it forward, like Shek had mentioned. And many of them text us, at midnight, hey, I'm preparing for this interview, can you help me out? Can you walk me through a mock interview? Things like that. And so, that's what we're all about, just helping people that helped us. And so.
Yeah, and I think it's just about kind of letting down those barriers of kind of this power complex that exists. We want to make it so that we're always available to our students. Like Aramis mentioned, they can call, they can text whenever they need us, and we want to be there for them.
In November of 2020, Noah Harris was elected student body president of Harvard University. He became the first black man to ever be elected by the student body there.
And during his term, that concludes this December, Harris was confronted with the challenges of leading during a pandemic where he and many of his classmates had to adjust to virtual learning.
Yeah, and we discussed his experience and the future that he sees for himself and for his generation.
I'm actually the first black man elected student body president.
And why is that such a milestone in 2021 for that to happen?
I think it's just a really big deal, especially concerning the racial reckoning we had as a country coming through the summer of 2020 for this Harvard student body to elect a black man to be their leader throughout the pandemic, throughout such a really tough time for the students and the university going through an entire virtual year. I just think it's really powerful. And considering it hasn't happened before, I think the fact that we're still having these firsts.
Noah, how are you therefore affecting change within the student body as well? How are you helping to support them, and how are you hoping to change it for good, that more people like you are elected? Right.
So I think there's two facets here. We have the resources that my vice president, Jenny Gann, and I are trying to give to the student body. There were a number of students who didn't have access to storage because they were having to leave campus when the pandemic began, and so we rented an entire warehouse $15,000, $20,000 project, and we provided storage for over 500 students. So really trying to stand in the gap of the student experience for things that the university isn't able to provide, and things that we can just do to improve things such as transportation, mental health, creating awareness around destigmatizing mental health, diversity and equity and inclusion, a lot of things such as that. And also being a mentor and being a bridge for other black leaders coming through at Harvard, I think is really important to me. And so really trying to make sure that even though I'm the first black man to be student body president, make sure there are more black leaders coming through after me.
How do you do that?
Well, it's about mentorship. It's about not just helping people figuring out, okay, this is how I get on the undergraduate council. This is how I get into Harvard. When you get on the undergraduate council, this is how you lead. This is what it takes to really be there and be of service, putting service above self. And I think it's a number of things such as that, and just making sure that they have someone to see and a blueprint to see as they're coming up.
Do you aim to put service before self going forward? I mean, you're a man studying government. What's in your future?
Oh yes, of course. So I've recently been accepted to Harvard Law School. I'm a Truman Scholar, so I'm very, very service-oriented, really trying to kind of build a bridge for people. So I want to be an attorney, a civil rights attorney, really in Mississippi, in the South, doing great work to advance progress and to make lives better for people there and for black people especially.
You're from Mississippi, right?
I am, from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. There's a lot of history there with regard to civil rights. We've come a long way. We haven't necessarily gotten to where we need to be, certainly not down south.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's just about one day at a time, one action at a time, one policy at a time. It's not about perfection, but I think it's really just about progress. If we think with the end goal in mind and continue to take the steps from a legal perspective, from a policy perspective, I think we'll be much better off. And so, but it takes all of us. Like this is the Power 100. So it takes all of the energy and the talent, the drive, the networks. But I'm really honored to be on this list, to be a part of this group. Not too many college students are able to leave during the weekend and pop on over here. So I think it's really an honor, and I hope to continue to move forward on this path.
And Noah, to a young black man, a young black woman in Mississippi right now, looking at you, wondering how you got there with the energy, with the network, with the determination, one piece of advice to try and get to your shoes in Harvard and then get themselves elected?
Well, I mean, I think the first step is realizing that, you don't have to be me, you could be you, but also to start now. Don't wait. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, you have the tools to start working towards that. So begin now. Start raising money, start serving your community, start implementing that change that you want from the ground level, from your community. I would just say don't wait, because you can really start right now.
Coming up, producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and rapper and actress MC Lyte. But now a final look at this year's EBONY Power 100. Welcome back to the EBONY Power 100 list, a Bloomberg special.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Of course, they're the prolific songwriting and production team we all know. 41 top 10 hits in the United States.
Your favorite?
Yes, absolutely. Over their 3-decade career, they have worked with numerous performers. Janet Jackson, Lionel Richie, Boyz II Men, Rod Stewart, and Prince. That's just to name a few.
And the pair were recognized for lifetime achievement on this year's EBONY Power 100. And they sat down with us to discuss their historic career.
we love what we do. It's our oxygen. It's what makes us live. But I think for us, the Lifetime was our approach and what we did. We never wanted to be, I remember when we did our first interview with the local hometown Minneapolis paper, the guy, first question he said was, you guys are the hottest producers. It was right after Janet's Control album. And we said, well, we don't really want to be the hottest producers. We just want to be warm for a long time.
We're more than warm.
Yeah, so but that's really what we kind of looked at our careers like that, and so the decisions we made was about being warm for a long time, and that's, I think, part of the reason we're still here.
How do you evolve? How do you ensure that you're always leading others rather than following?
We take inspiration from the artists that we work with, and we stay up on technology, and we just have fun doing what we do. Like it's a blessing to be able to be creative and do what we do. So we take that very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously in it. It's like, I said, whatever, I'm okay. So I have to work really hard to be really good. Yeah. And if I work really hard to be really good, then one day I might be great. Right. But we'll let that determine itself on the other end.
Right. I mean, the music industry has changed a lot since you guys first started. How artists make money, how they express themselves creatively, how they build their brand is just so much different than what it was, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, we never thought of ourselves as brands. Right. We just made music, and actually we made music that we like.
Yeah, we're very selfish about it. When we really like it, we just hope everybody else just agrees with us. Yes. That's really key. But we also know that we just make good music. We don't. When people say you make hits, we don't really feel we make hits. Hits is a partnership. It's like we can make it, but then the people buying it, the radio stations playing it, the people streaming it, all of those different things, that's what makes it a hit. So we really don't make a hit, we just try to make good music.
But how do you get the best out of the artist, him or herself?
Well, we have all kinds of tricks.
Yes.
Do you tell?
Yeah. Secrets.
I'll tell you at the king. No, but a lot of times we just hang out and just see what they want for themselves. It's, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And if you get into people's lives and you can kind of see where they want to go with it and what they want to say, you come out with a great product because their performance is going to carry it over the top.
Now, I'm sure you're going to say you love all your children equally. So I won't ask what was the most wonderful one to produce or one most memorable, but who's the artist who got away?
Janet Jackson. Can I answer for them?
No, Janet is definitely one.
No, Janet's definitely one of them, for sure. Absolutely.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but the one that got away, the one who you now have your eye on, like who would be the artist that...
we have our eye on.
Oh yeah, we have, that we haven't yet produced, right? There's quite a few of them actually. Top of my list has always been Sade, probably for the last 15, 20 years, probably it's been Sade for me.
Yeah, and I always say Janelle Monáe because she reminds me of so much of Minneapolis. Yeah. And she has that thing, that it.
Yep. Do you find like this younger generation of artists and the way that they want to make music, the way they want to express themselves, how receptive are you to that?
Love it.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, our favorite artist probably right now, the headline artist of that is her. And her is one of those artists that, because she's so well versed in songwriting and in production and in guitar playing and in keyboard playing and drums, and she does everything, but that's like, when we worked with Prince back in the day. So we recognize what that is about. And the cool thing about it is that not only is it that she's great, but think about the people who she's inspiring now. They want to pick up an instrument now, they want to write a song, and they want to sing songs that are really relevant lyrically and all of those things. So to me, her impact is immeasurable, and we haven't even seen the best of what that's going to become.
Yeah, and we have another best new artist, 30 years in the business best new artist on the sophomore album. That's Stokely.
From In Condition.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah, so it's 30 years since Breaking My Heart, his first song, Breaking My Heart, Pretty Brown Eyes. And speaking about breaking stuff, but Pretty Brown Eyes, and now he has a new album called Sankofa, which is absolutely amazing. So, we like the journey, we like the fact, and 30 years ago, Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. That was when we did that record. So we have a lot of milestones happening, 40 years at the time, since the very first time album.
Get it up.
And so it's just a lot of fun things to celebrate, and we're glad that we've had the lifetime that we've had. But as we said, it's just the beginning for us, the way we look at it.
MC Lyte, she's one of the pioneers of female rap, bursting onto the scene in the late 1980s with her album, Light as a Rock.
Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott, Lauryn Hill and Eve, well, among the many performers who have cited Lyte as a major influence.
But in recent years, she's actually ventured into hosting, voiceover work, and television production.
It was always a dream of mine to be a part of TV. When I saw Tootie on The Facts of Life, I was like, okay, where is she? California? I'm coming. And I think I was 7 or 8, but I knew that I was destined to be on screen and do something. And then since then, I've fallen in love with the magic of movie making. You know, I watch movies 3, 4 times. I want to see the acting choices. Then I want to see the lighting, the cinematography, the set designing. I just get, you know, all excited about it. So now to be able to be here and have my own show, which is called Partners in Rhyme. I co-executive produced and co-wrote, created, and I'm acting in it, and it's fun.
So what's it about? I mean, you talk about, I mean, you've been in the spotlight for a long time, obviously as a rapper, but with this TV show here, I mean, what was just the general idea behind it?
Well, it's loosely based on my life. It is an old school versus new school sort of concept because I'm merging from being an artist into an executive, and I am mentoring my niece, who's an internet sensation. And I'm like, I'm not gonna mentor someone or take anyone seriously that's just on the gram. And everybody's like, no, that's how it's happening these days. So it's like this old school versus new school. But there's lots of lessons, and we look forward to a wide audience. She plays a high school, you know, student, and here I am, grown and grown. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the viewers.
What do you think of New School? If you'd been coming to the limelight in your rapping days with the focus of social media upon you, would you have embraced it? Would you have enjoyed it?
Watching New School usher in. Is that the question?
Yeah, or how
Okay.
would you have enjoyed that sort of level of focus, that level of having to give as well in your career early days? Do you think social media would have been a net positive for you back in those days, or?
You know, I'm not sure, but I'm glad it wasn't, right? Because we got a chance to make mistakes without it being polarized. Whereas now it's like every little thing is being judged and scrutinized. And so, yeah, I'm thankful for the time that I came in, and I'm thankful for this time because, you know, the internet can make people stars overnight, sensations, and give an opportunity for those who wouldn't be exposed or found, you know, discovered had it not been for social media. So kudos for the times we live in.
Talk a little bit about your work on social issues, philanthropy. You've been involved, of course, with HBCUs as well as the United Negro College Fund.
Totally. We have Hip Hop Sisters, which is our philanthropic arm, and we've given away over $1 million in scholarships to young people. The first 4 we gave away was Wisconsin-Madison, and that went to 4 women. And then we changed our initiative to #EducateOurMen, and we've given 6 scholarships away to young African-American men attending Dillard University, which is a HBCU.
So education for you is sort of like the
it
great
opens the doors.
equalizer.
Yeah, it opens the doors, you know, not just literally, but just, you know, emotionally, physically, and what it is that you are exposed to, you then have the opportunity to even believe you can do it or be it. And so, yeah, I think it removes the 4 walls and it allows someone to fly.
In October, Ebony held a 2-day star-studded event in Los Angeles to celebrate this year's EBONY Power 100 list.
For over 35 years, Ebony has used the Power 100 to honor the heroes of the community. Here is a look at just some of the sights and sounds from this year's gathering.
Good evening, everyone. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here, to look out and see all of these beautiful, beautiful black faces, ebony faces, if you will, to be here, to be part of an historic night here. It's truly an honor for me.
I'm speaking on behalf of all the honorees tonight. We are forever grateful. We want to keep telling our stories and keep making the fans live through the music. We appreciate you.
I've walked with Ebony through those 75 years. Through the trudge, through the tears, through the glory, to now. And look at you. Look at you. You make this heart proud.
Jimmy and Terry, congratulations on being icons and shaping this industry. I love you both, and I am so honored to present to you the EBONY Power 100 Lifetime Achievement Award.
Part of the reason that motivated me to learn to read was having Ebony magazine in our house, because what that did was I saw people that looked like myself, and I wanted to learn about them, so I had to read about them. So I appreciate the opportunity that Ebony gave to even my foundation of being who I am. And so it's such an honor to be here tonight, being honored by Ebony.
So as I humbly accept this Ebony Humanitarian Award tonight, I do so alongside your remarkable honorees, past, present, and yet to come. Honorees whose lives and legacies have shown us that we are stronger through community and that together there isn't anything we can't accomplish.
What else I know for sure is this, is we will no longer stand by while we are senselessly killed in the streets. We will not stay silent when we are not promoted and underpaid, okay? We can no longer be treated invisible when it's convenient. We don't have to check our culture at the door. You don't, and you don't, and you don't, and you don't.
Wow, what an impressive group, the EBONY Power 100.
And this year's honorees and special awards recipients were drawn from a variety of fields and industries, from business, sports, media, activism, and entertainment.
Yeah, and the EBONY Power 100 is also a celebration of Ebony's 75-year commitment to ensuring that the Black experience is represented, uplifted, and celebrated.
Thank you for joining us. This is Bloomberg.